Hallow Ian.
Forever.
Good evening, Stephen.
Hello, Brian.
How's it going on this most festive and patriotic of weekends?
I am dying because of the heat. It's
It is unpleasant outdoors and indoors. Yes, it is hot out here in the eastern part of the Midwest. We were talking a little bit before we started recording. I was at the funeral home and at a funeral today in which I was a pallbearer. So I was wearing a suit and carrying a large casket all morning. So I am dehydrated from sweating. So I'm pouring some beers on top of that. See what happens. All that aside, I do have one for you, Steve. And are you willing and able to accept one?
I am prepared. I have been prepping all day in various ways. This is the first time I turned a light on in my house this week.
Yeah.
I like to sit in the dark when it's hot. So
Sure.
I'm here. I'm ready. I'm willing. I put a shirt on for you guys. So
Aw,
I'm ready to receive one.
what a sweetheart. I have half a shirt, as you can see, for those of you who are watching the Discord. I've got a part of a shirt on. Anyway, aside from this heat aside, I got a whole mess of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about not having any more kids, right? Getting a vasectomy.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how that healthcare is. It's quite expensive. So instead of getting a proper vasectomy, I've just been pounding myself in the nuts lately. I just been beating the shit out of my testicles, Stephen, in hopes of making myself sterile so I don't have any more kids. You know how people do a thing like that?
Sure, I guess. I mean, I usually pay for that, but
Sure.
hey.
Well, I'm kind of a DIY guy, but anyway, I decided that maybe it wasn't working. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor did confirm that testicular trauma was not the same as having a vasectomy.
Mm.
And I said, "Doc, can you explain to me what the difference is?" And he said, "Well, there's a vast difference."
Oh God! All this way for that.
Goes to a very traumatic Showdown episode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
And I'm Steve.
Hey, wait, hold on a second. Who's that handsome boy over there? Who do we got here with us this fine month?
Sorry, Jack. Hallow's back.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, we got our old pal, Hallow Ian, joining us. Welcome once again. Thanks for joining us.
Of course, it is not quite as hot here in the Pacific Northwest as it is over there, and I'm not jealous.
And you shouldn't be. It is horrific. It's impossible to go outside. It's like being on the goddamn surface of the sun. But like we were saying before we started recording, take this earth from us, Peter Thiel. Give it a try, because it is soon to be uninhabitable. Go fuck yourself. It is unbelievably hot out. So we are sitting inside sweating instead of sitting outside sweating. And we're going to talk a little bit today about some childhood trauma flicks for our July Showdown. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a hot sec. But before we do that, speaking of hot sex, Yin's maybe slurping on something a little wet. Maybe it's a little cold, trying to keep refreshed in this heat. What are you slurping on?
I'm drinking Mac and Jack African Amber, which is kind of a Washington staple. It's on tap everywhere, and they actually just recently started putting it out in can form, so I grabbed one of those. It's kind of a...
Let me see that. Let me see that can. I don't think I've seen that in can before.
Yeah. No, it's...
Oh.
Yep.
Nice. Handsome can. Handsome can.
Yeah. So it's kind of a special release. It's a floral hoppy amber.
Nice. We like amber beer. We like one of them old-fashioned amber beers. The least sexy the style sounds, the more intrigued I'm probably going to be about it. And speaking of not particularly sexy styles, I guess it depends who you ask. I think it is. I am drinking. Let me fluff this head up. Let me give it a little fluff for you so everybody can see just how tasty this beer looks. I am drinking one of my old standbys. I got a nice half liter of it. I am drinking on, the best Munich has to offer. I'm drinking a little Augustiner Helles. The Lager Beer Hell from our friends at Augustiner there in München. So just feels like something that's easy to sip on, easy to slurp on. Boy, howdy. Actually, let me give it one more little whirl here. Make sure it's as wet as I remembered.
I'm sure it's pretty wet. It's
Good
a Helles.
God, that thing's wet.
Helles is such a good fucking flavor for like now.
100%. I mean, I drink just pale continental lager beers all year round, but Helles in the summertime. God damn. You think about school in summertime? It's pretty damn tasty though. Steve, what are you slurping on?
I actually just thought about how I so much would rather be crushing Kolsch service right now. Oh yeah. I would be so fucking happy with that. But I have deviated from beer because it is too hot and I was already sweating and I needed something colder. So I went to Steve's School of Gloop Glop Cocktails and I took
what the fuck is that?
let me put you on something, brother. I don't
know if I want to be put onto that. It looks like for those of you who are not watching on the Discord, it looks like strawberry milk, like strawberry quick that was not stirred up properly.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's the camera or maybe your eyes, but that's not red, that's orange, because what it is it's 2 shots of vodka and 2 Aldi orange creamsicles.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we got.
It.
Okay. How's that slurping for you?
It's fucking great. I
think also what made it look a little grosser is like you have it on ice and some of the ice has melted. So the water is like kind of floating on top. It's kind of separated a little bit.
Well, yeah. That's the I didn't have a time to make a good mix because I was running late.
Sure.
And I only had time to just drop the popsicles in there. So like they're the orange creamsicle popsicles from Aldi that they're the popsicles themselves are like orange popsicle, cream popsicle, orange popsicle. They're layered. So then they themselves are not they themselves are not uniform. So I didn't have time to make this drink uniform. So yeah, it looks terrible, but it tastes great.
I got you.
This is actually kind of a trick I learned from there's a cocktail bar in Columbus, Ohio that was also like an arcade bar. I don't know if it's still around, but it was called 16-bit. And they had...
Oh, yeah. I've been to 16-bit. Holy shit.
Okay.
Well, no. Wait. Maybe it's... I think I've been to a place called... Maybe it was called 8-bit because it was in Indianapolis, not Columbus. But anyway.
I mean, and maybe it's like a secret chain where they all have the same menu. But 16-bit had it had a Macho Man Randy Savage a drink that was made from vodka and popsicles. So or it was either Macho Man or Hulk Hogan. I think it was Hulk Hogan because it was a rocket bomb pop.
I was going to say it would make sense if it was Macho Man because of course, as we all know, the cream rises to the top. So. But in this case, the melted water's rising to the top and making it look real gross. But I'm glad that's slurping for you. Pretty wet.
I think it's the vodka that's on top. But yeah, it's very wet and it's delicious and it's extra cold because it's just taking chunks of popsicle in. It's wonderful. It works. Yeah. It's the shittiest of tiki drinks that you can make, but it's still great.
That's how it would be arguable to refer to that as a tiki drink, but I do like your chutzpah.
Yeah.
I like
It's got cream, it's got fruit, it's got alcohol. That's a tiki drink to me.
That's a tiki drink in Steve's world. I like that. Yeah, I you know what I was craving today? I put a couple grapes in the freezer. I love to eat a
Hell yeah,
frozen
dude.
grape when it's hot out. Love a frozen grape. That just reminded me that I did that earlier today. All right, guys, we got the Slurpees, we got the wet ones about the way. I know, Ian, you've got some exciting stuff coming up. We were talking about a little bit before we hit record. Why don't you, first of all, maybe for those of you who are out there that don't know who Ian is, and maybe you haven't heard him on our show before, this has probably got to be your dang old, fourth or fifth time on the show at least.
I think it's actually fifth or sixth. I think I'm like, it's like Ben, Kelly, then me as far as guests go. At least in
You guys
the
are
last
right there.
2 years, yeah.
Well, tell them who you are, tell them what you're doing, and then you got some exciting stuff to talk about.
So I am the producer, writer, and host of a television show called the Hallow Ian Horror Hour. Check it out on Tubi. Find us at hallowianhorrorhour.com. We're kind of a horror host program, but more of a scariety show, if you will. We show independent short films, music videos, do interviews with horror creatives, and every October we put out 4 new episodes for local TV here in the Seattle area. And we'll be filming season 4 in 2 weeks from today.
Season 4
Sick.
is on the horizon, guys.
Yeah.
So if you don't already, easiest place if you don't live in the Seattle area to check you out is
Tubi
YouTube or Tubi, right?
Yeah, YouTube or Tubi. We're both of those places. We do have a spin-off podcast ourselves where we talk about all sorts of stuff. Steve was actually on our episode that just came out yesterday as the time of this recording, where we were talking about some music, where he introduced me to a local to you all, Drew in the Blue, who I believe has been on your pod before. We're going to show some of his music videos on our show this year, so very exciting.
Love me some Drew in the Blue. I was just listening to, they came up on my Spotify not that long ago. One of my favorite bands, one of my favorite handsome rock and roll boys. Yes, definitely check out if you like spooky, if you like ooky, you're gonna 100% love the Hallow Ian Horror Hour. So go check it out. Like I said, on the Tubies or on the YouTubes, and you don't gotta wait until Halloween. There's a bunch of old ones out there, right? You can catch up. If you
all
haven't watched
3
them already.
seasons are available on YouTube, so head on over there and check it out. We've even got massive videos that contain every single episode, so you can just turn that on. 8 hours of content right there for you.
while you're working for the man, while you're answering the emails, while you're doing whatever the hell you do for a living, put it on the background for some spooky good time. I am currently on in the background of us recording this, watching a movie from 1970 called The Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman. It's a Paul Naschy movie. I should probably just have the Halloween Horror Hour on. It would be a lot more enjoyable than this absolutely unwatchable cut that I'm currently watching in the background.
But that's such a good title. So
it is such a good title. And that's why I think at once upon a time, probably 20 years ago, I paid probably $1 for this sleeve at Big Lots.
Oh.
That's probably where I got this. But it looks like it was recorded on a potato.
Sick.
So don't fall down that path that I fall down. Go watch the Halloween Horror Hour. All right, it is time. So let me really quickly recap here. We're going to talk about childhood trauma movies, and we're not talking about movies that are about childhood trauma. We're going to talk about movies that were responsible for a disproportionate amount of our own personal childhood trauma. So probably not surprising, because we are all, I think, roughly around the same age. I'm not sure. I think, Ian, you might be slightly younger than us. I'm not sure, but is it safe to say? Okay, safe to say we're all right around 40 years old. So we not surprising to hear that our 3 movies were from 1990, 1992, and 1992. That's
no,
not
1990,
surprising.
1990, and 1992.
Oh, wait. Mine was 1992.
Yours is 1992. Child's Play is 1990.
Yours are both from 1990. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. I was thinking
mine is technically from 1996. That's when it traumatized me because, and I'll get into the history, but it was it was made in 1990, and that's what I watched. So, but we'll get into the history and how this happened.
I probably realistically watched mine probably in 93, 94. I'm going to say 93. But yes, this is when the movies were released. But we will explain our own individual relationships with these movies, and then we'll talk about the individual movies, and then we'll go from there. So, boy, I am drawing a blank. Who is responsible for picking the order this time? It ain't me. It was actually the Patreon. Yeah.
Well, no, because last month it was Ben who was our winner.
Right.
So
Ben won.
So I guess as lineal, exchange, it would go to the next guest, even though Ben isn't here. But Ian can pick the order in which we present tonight.
Right. It was Ben last month.
Yeah.
With his Willard pick, which I'm still a little butthurt about. Little butthurt that I lost, and I came in a distant third, which was a real punch in the dick.
It was
testicular
correct.
Trauma.
It was very correct that you came in distant third.
Guys, you absolute swine. All right. Ian, how do you want to do this?
I think let's start with the Dollhouse murders or secrets in the attic, and then and then we'll do. Yeah, I'll go last. We're gonna do Sergeant Kabukiman second. Okay. And I'll bring up the rear with Child's Play 2.
All right. Yep. So I'm gonna talk about right off the bat. Talk about a movie from the year of our Lord, 1992. I am going to talk about a movie called The Dollhouse Murders, aka Secrets in the Attic. And then Steve is going to talk about from 1990, the trauma classic Sergeant Kabukiman NYPD. And then last but certainly not least, Ian is going to talk about Child's Play 2, not part 2, just a big old number 2, which I always appreciate. From also 1990, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we just establish that? Okay, good. All right. Well, let me get into my movie here. Like I said, The Dollhouse Murders from 1992. I actually experienced this movie first via its alternate title, which is Secrets in the Attic. This movie is based on a book called The Dollhouse Murders that was written by a woman named Betty Wright. I have no experience with the book. This movie was introduced to me, and for those of you who are longtime listeners of the show, may have heard me talk before, especially around Halloween time, of my late Aunt Jill. And my Aunt Jill, who introduced me to all things, spooky and Halloween and horror and all those things. She was, fanatical about all that. Really introduced, me, my brother, my cousins, all to this stuff at a very young age. She really wanted to introduce to us at an even younger age, but either because our parents wouldn't allow her or we were reluctant, she eased us into it and then eventually opened the floodgates. But this movie, which was a made-for-TV movie, it did have a VHS release, but it was made for TV, no theatrical release, was something that she had taped off of TV on the old VCR, and then thought that this was a not particularly scary, but introducing to supernatural themes and spooky ooky things that she could introduce us to at a relatively young age. So I watched this movie for the first time. I'm going to guess I was 8 or 9 years old when I first watched this movie. So you have to think about it through the lens of an 8 to 9 year old. So this is one of the first, quote unquote, genre films that I ever watched. And this movie was pretty darn close to lost media for many years. Like I said, did not have a theatrical release, did have a VHS release. As far as I know, was never released on any other format. I've not seen it replayed anywhere. And for years, through my teens and things, we could not find this movie anywhere. And it actually took us years to remember what the title was. And then eventually, when I was, I'm going to say 17, my aunt surprised me one Halloween. She found the VHS copy that she had, taped off a TV and ripped it onto a DVD for me. So I actually, and then made me, and I have it here. I don't know where I sat it. I think it's sitting right over there on my shelf. I'll grab it and show it to you at some point here. She actually made me a homemade jewel case. And I have the DVD copy of this movie where she got, the image off of the book and put it on there in the jewel case. So it kind of has a cover. Or perhaps it was off the VHS release, but she printed it off the interwebs and put it in the jewel case. So I have, perhaps one of the only DVD copies, albeit pirated, ripped off a TV and then burned onto a DVD of this movie in existence. But this was a movie that came up consistently over the years. When we would see what we thought was a really scary movie, she would always say, how's it compare to Secrets in the Attic? And that was kind of an inside joke that we had because, by her standards, this movie was not at all scary, but it scared the absolute shit out of me and my brother and my cousins when we were little. So this movie, not streaming anywhere, but it is on Internet Archive. So you can find it on there, watch it on there. You can also find rips of it on YouTube. However, there are kind of two versions of this. There is a shorter, just about an hour version of it that was shown in a lot of schools, believe it or not. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then there is the kind of full, quote unquote, theatrical cut of it that I only think runs maybe an hour 25, hour 27, something like that. So it's not a long movie. Again, TV movie.
We should have watched a school cut.
It is brief. It is more brief. It gets to the point a little bit. But here's what I would say about this movie. I did not realize until just recent years here that there is an entire generation of kids that were as traumatized by this movie as I was. If you go online, you will find people talking about how, this was lost media to them. It traumatized them. And this was their, almost Channel Zero type of thing that stuck in their subconscious for years and years. And then they eventually had to uncover it. It really boils down to primarily one scene. I mean, there's some other stuff in there, but one scene that really traumatized a generation of kids. And apparently, I just learned in recent years throughout North America, English teachers I found examples of this in, throughout the US as well as in Canada and Mexico that, literature teachers would read the book, The Dollhouse Murders, in school, in class, in junior high, and then show the kids the movie, specifically the school cut in class, wheel the old, AV club would wheel in the old TV on the stand and they would watch it, which is such a bizarre concept to me. But that is how a lot of people were introduced to this. Again, mine was a little bit different, but found that to be so bizarre. Like I said, 1992, directed by Diana Hawk Edson. She's the director of 3 films. I don't know, Warning About the Singularity, I think, from 1978. And then another movie, which is also a short film from 1985 that only ran 29 minutes, that was called The Lilith Summer. And it seems to be kind of a coming of age story. So not some, maybe she has some TV credits that I'm not aware of, but by all means does not seem to be the most prolific of filmmakers. But this is absolutely her if I could say claim to fame in terms of feature films. I think this is her only feature film.
I believe it probably is her only feature. But she does have another good directing credit.
Ooh.
And the year before, for Disney Educational Productions, she directs I'm No Fool on Wheels, which is an educational traffic safety film starring Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket.
I like that.
With Elijah Wood as Pinocchio.
Oh, very nice. What a get. What a get. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the cast of the Dollhouse murders, not a single one is recognizable. Aside from there is a very small role from a actress named Nancy Giles, who plays a librarian, a very small bit part, and she had a reasonable career. She was in she was in Big, so that's good enough for me.
There's another actress who also has a very small bit role named Christina Moses, and she also she continues to act today. Whereas the majority of the cast of this film only did the Dollhouse murders and never worked again.
Yeah. Listen, guys, I'm going to be the first to say this is by no means a masterpiece. This is a made-for-TV movie, right? And very, very PG-13, even as far as to say PG. But I think that's why, and the weirdness of it and the kind of temporary lost media element of it, I think is why it speaks to such a unique childhood trauma experience. Because you would watch this movie, and aside from, like I said, one scene, which you could consider to be, somewhat disturbing, most of this feels like an extended Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, I would say. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Steve is just making a lot of noises and faces, and he's just, I can tell. I knew when I picked this was not going to be his cup of tea.
I found extended Are You Afraid of the Dark is very generous. This is like an extended Picket Fences episode. Just they dealt with a lot of adult themes on Picket Fences, adult themes like having someone who's special needs and your mom's a capital C. They had those kind of themes on Picket Fences. But
yeah, that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
I'm curious to what the traumatizing moment is. I have two but it's kind of a coin toss, and I'm hoping it's one of those two.
Yes, we will get into it. This movie, I will say right off the bat, is quite predictable. I don't think there's not much in the way of twists and turns in this one. It's very kind of paint by numbers, TV drama, mystery question mark. But again, we'll talk about that one particular scene. But let me set it up a little bit. This is starring primarily two like kind of young preteens, right? Amy is the main protagonist, and you have to imagine, little 9-year-old or whatever Brian watching this. Amy appears to be, I don't know, 11 or 12. So this would have been roughly around my age, right? The protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have her sister, whose name's Luann. Luann has an intellectual disability. And this was always I remember watching this being kind of a confusing part to me, because I don't know this for sure, but it very much feels like the actor portraying Luann does not have an intellectual disability. It feels like she's acting this,
mm-hmm.
right? And as a 9-year-old, I remember this being very confusing. Of what exactly is the disability? You know what I mean? As a kid, as like I said, 9, maybe 10-year-old kid watching this, I did not have the context for what exactly that meant. So I kept waiting for something to happen that was going to explain to me what the disability was, or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they never name it.
And I remember kind of being confused as a kid. Yeah, they never say it. And I remember being confused as a kid of like, okay, I can see like the way she's talking is a little bit different. But I also very distinctly remember as a kid watching this going like, do I have this? Like,
Right. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, am I going to get whatever this mystery thing is? Like, I was very confused by it.
And again, just back to that time of TV shows, It's Life Goes On, right? That had Corky.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Down syndrome actor. And so it was very apparent of like, what they were going for there. But like watching, I've never seen this film up until now, but like watching it, it's very clear. It's like, oh, Luann has autism, and they are just not, they're just dancing around it and they're never talking about it. But if you're 8 or 9 and you're watching this, and especially in the 90s when autism wasn't really a thing that we talked about, when they are saying Luann can't take the bus, you're like, why? Like, what's
I was so confused. I remember being confused and also, and this contributes to the childhood trauma a little bit, kind of worried of thinking like, what you feel bad for her, and you're also like, again, do I have this thing? Dude, like, am I going to develop whatever they are?
I'm not allowed to take the bus by myself. Do I have it?
Yeah, exactly. I remember being like so confused by it as a kid. But yes,
I have to point out too, again, like I never saw this before. And as soon as this actress is on screen, I looked at her and I said, is that the mom of that one guy who's in a lot of stuff? And I had to go look up his name because we actually did an episode. He's in that movie Carved that we talked about. But
I remember that. Yeah.
The actor's name is Matty Carteropel. And I put his picture in the Discord chat there for you to see. But he just looks like he would be the son of this woman. I had to look up like, are they related? And like, because no, they're not. I was like, the other person I thought it was is like, is that possibly Heather Matarazzo? And but no, the timeline, I don't like, Heather is like younger, so she wouldn't have I don't know, she wouldn't have fit that role. But I was just like, this actress looks incredibly familiar, but literally only did this movie.
Yeah. And just to like lend another layer of confusion as a child around this, and also just like empathy for the character, is I remember, again, as a, let's say 9-year-old, 10-year-old, also remember like kind of having a crush on her and being like, why are you guys treating her like this? Like, why? Just feeling really, really bad and feeling like a lot of empathy for her.
As a 40-ish year old man, I felt awful. I was just watching. I was like, oh my God, they're terrible to this girl. And then again, I'm not getting scared by this.
They talk about her like she's not there. Like, I know, in the room. It's horrible.
And then at the end of the film, like I at no point felt any kind of fear, but I was like not choked up, but whatever the step below choked up is when Luann's holding the small dollhouse furniture. I was like, oh, she's found her hyperfixation. She's going to be just like focused on making dollhouse furniture for the rest of her life, and that's going to bring her so much joy. I'm so happy for her because she has this whole entire arc where she learns to like be independent and make things, and now she's found the thing that she wants to make the rest of her life. I'm so happy for her, and fuck her cunt of a mother.
And also fuck Amy. Like, I remember just being like, Amy sucks. Fuck you, Amy.
She's bad, but I'm not as mad at her because she is a child.
She's a kid.
Yeah, and she
but like as another child, I was like,
oh yeah, as another child,
why are you being
like,
so mean to your sister? So a lot of mixed up, confusing emotions I'm having as I'm watching this movie. Amy and Luann go off to visit their Aunt Claire, who lives in her grandparents' house. They find a dollhouse no surprise there. In the attic, and that dollhouse is like an exact replica of the house that they are in, right? They start to experience some supernatural, weird, sketchy shit. And they start to get suspicious that something happened in the house. Also, Aunt Claire is very tight-lipped about what happened in the house, and specifically something that happened associated with her grandparents, who, you know, she's I don't know, in her let's say she's in her late 40s. I don't know, something around there. So her grandparents would have obviously been quite a bit older at that point. They're no longer with us, which wouldn't be that abnormal, but something sketchy happened. Aunt Claire, we learn over time. Eventually, Amy does a little, you know. Aunt Claire's very tight-lipped about it. Amy does some, like, you know,
Nancy Drew
kid-style sleuthing. Yeah, I was going to say Nancy Drew. Yeah, some kid-style sleuthing, and figures out that Aunt Claire's grandparents were murdered in the house. The girls start to hear, like, disembodied crying. The doll, they learn pretty quickly it's associated with the dollhouse. The dolls in the dollhouse keep moving themselves around to be put in the position that their bodies were found, right, when they were murdered. So again, put yourself in the context of a 9-year-old going like, oh, a whole like, I'm not only am I learning about all these other things we mentioned, but I'm also learning about family annihilation.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, like, oh, whole families are murdered? What? That's like, as a 9-year-old, the worst possible thing that could happen is your family gets killed, right? And obviously still the worst possible thing now. But as like a 9-year-old, it's like, imagining your life without your parents is like as unimaginable, right? So the dolls are moving around the house. They're hearing this disembodied crying at night. And this is what's setting up the spooky environment. Again, quite a mediocre story, very predictable. But there's one particular scene where the dolls, we get this idea that the dolls are trying to tell them something, right? Obviously, the dolls are trying to help them solve the mystery of the murder. But it's also a mystery to Amy and Luann, particularly Amy, about what Aunt Claire actually knows. But the dolls are trying to tell them something. Aunt Claire, and this is what got me thinking about Are You Afraid of the Dark, or Goosebumps for that. Goosebumps might even be a better proxy here. But a theme in these, you know, YA horror, or even, you know, kids horror books that I was obsessed with when I was a kid, and TV shows for that matter, is that the parents never believe the kids, right? Mm-hmm. And that's part of the scary thing, is when you're a kid, you have no credibility. You're not, no one trusts what you're saying. But if you are absolutely positive about something supernatural is happening, you have no chance of convincing anyone, right? So Aunt Claire immediately accuses Amy of placing, or Luann for that matter, but particularly Amy, about placing the dolls around the house where they're murdered, as far as going as far as to say, like, you found out by reading old newspapers where the bodies were found and placed them in this spot just to, I don't know, upset me or you know, show off to your friends or whatever. So of course, Aunt Claire, what else is she going to believe? Ghosts, yeah. Right? So right. Like they're at this weird impasse where you know, the adults won't believe them. So you have this like sisters looking out for each other, but they're against this, like, you know, almost impenetrable force, which is, you know, the belief systems of the adults. The aunt doesn't want to believe anything, right? She actually kind of just like wants to bury everything deep down, and she's already very close-lipped about the whole thing. Eventually, they get her to explain that the aunt was seeing a guy named Tom. And Tom is a real rat fuck. Tom is a drunk local asshole a real fucking creep. He looks like a cut rate Gary Busey a little bit.
Yeah.
But he was like this abusive drunk dickhead that Aunt Claire was like, you know, it seems to be one of those situations where Aunt Claire was like a, 17, 18, 19-year-old, and he was probably in his mid 20s, and bad news. And the grandparents were like, we forbid you from seeing him. But that obviously, just fueled her rebellion more, and she was sneaking around with him. Tom had developed this vendetta against the grandparents, that they were like turning her against him and the whole town against him and whatever. So obviously, Aunt Claire assumed that Sketchy Tom murdered them.
Yeah,
because
sure.
one night somebody came into their house and murdered them.
Yeah.
And they didn't know exactly who it was. She assumed it was Sketchy Tom. Sketchy Tom died in a car accident not long after. He did have an alibi, but she has always held the weight of this guilt that her boyfriend Sketchy Tom murdered her grandparents, right?
Yep. And they tell us all this in the most boring way possible.
Seriously.
Well, she had to get it out. Amy had to really get it out of her. Aunt Claire's not a strong performance. I will say that right now.
Not only is she not a strong performance, no one is, but
no, how dare you?
The pacing on this is terrible because the movie is pretty fucking boring to begin with, and then they say let's grind it to a halt with a flashback to a character that is a red herring, and it's like I don't know how to explain it.
Poorly written movie. Yeah. I will just say right off the bat.
I don't know how to explain it, but even in the flashback, I knew he was the red herring because it just felt like that kind of YA novel type of shit. But like they could have just did it, because at the same time we're seeing the flashback, Aunt Claire is also providing voiceover, but the voiceover is chopped up to be paced with these long scenes of this guy getting drunk and getting into fights at card games and shit like that. And it's just like, if they had just edited it to where Claire was just telling everything that happened and it was a bing bang boom. Hey, I met this guy. He was a pretty big shitbag. He used to get into fights and drunk, but then he died in a car crash. Sorry, Amy. Sorry I didn't tell you about that. Our history, or our family has a lot of secrets. Good night. Like if it was just boom,
but then
boom,
what else is she going to do? She's going to go, and also we had a gardener. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Like if I swear to God, I bet this flashback is cut out of the school edit. It has to be.
That would be my
it probably is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never watched the school edit. I watch pure uncut version. I only honor the original theatrical straight to TV, straight to VHS.
I only honor the original CBS version.
Yeah, I don't even think it was CBS. I feel like it was like some precursor to like some cable, some precursor to Hallmark Channel or something.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, okay, so here's the part that really fucked me up, because yes, this movie is poorly written and boring for the most part. But there's some good. You do care for the characters. I will say this. I'll get into it a little bit, but here's the part that really fucked me up. And I remember the build up to this as a kid, because eventually, they hear the crying in the middle of the night. We've heard about Tom. The story's kind of starting to unravel, and Amy and Luann hear the crying from the dollhouse in the middle of the night, and Amy gets up the courage to go, no, we got to go. We got to see what the dolls are trying to communicate to us. And the way this dollhouse, and this is also part of the reason that really reminded me of Are You Afraid of the Dark, is when they come up in the attic, the lighting and the music in this scene, I remember really stuck with me. The house started to like become illuminated, and you start to hear this, like, we'd already heard it once before, but now it's obviously louder. This like sobbing, this creepy old woman sobbing, like sorrowful, like mournful, fearful sobbing. And the old woman doll, because the doll was the dolls are the grandparents, and I guess Claire, and then I think it was Claire's younger brother, maybe.
Who's also Amy's dad.
Yeah, it was also Amy's dad, but it doesn't really come up that much. But they're in the house, and the grandmother doll is the one sobbing. She is in like a room. I think it was a bedroom or a parlor or something. But we have Amy and Luann watching this doll move around on its own, around the interior of the dollhouse, looking at them, sobbing, pointing to and like knocking books off the shelves, trying to tell them something. And all the while you hear these footsteps, heavy footsteps, clomping up the stairs. The old woman doll pushes a dresser in front of the door. So it's like she knows what's going to happen. She knows someone's coming to murder her. She's already worried that they've murdered the rest of her family. And she's trying to like desperately convey something to two children watching all this in horror. So this scene just scared the apps. And also the doll is just, I'm not saying it's the creepiest doll in the world, but for a 9-year-old, it's a fucking creepy doll. Crying, sad face doll, sobbing. And the footsteps and no. And the girls too are reacting in, I think, a very genuine way in the scene, which is the way you would react as an 8 or 9-year-old. They're like, we don't know. We don't want to watch the murder. Like, obviously we don't want to watch, this, family member, although one we don't know, like be murdered, even in doll form. You know what I mean? We don't want to watch the murder. This is like, it's, you think about scary things as a kid, scary movies. I remember being terrified of the Thriller video by Michael Jackson, and being like, I don't want to watch it. And then my uncles, and cousins being like, oh, don't be a baby, watch it. And you don't want to watch it. You're not, it's not real, but the idea of being exposed to that is so scary to you. So, finally they figure out that the granny doll was hiding something in the bookshelf. So they eventually get Aunt Claire to go and start tearing through all the books with them and shaking out all the books. And they find a note from Grandma explaining that Reuben did it. Dun, dun, dun. Who the fuck is Reuben? Reuben is the gardener that they mentioned one time in passing.
Yeah, we see him in one of the flashbacks with the drunk boyfriend because he breaks up a fight between the grandfather. He was a handyman
or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he breaks up a fight between the drunk boyfriend and the grandfather. We see him in that one flashback, and then I think maybe one other flashback. It is just, just like a who's fucking cares, answer to everything.
Well, and here's the thing. It doesn't matter who did it, right? It doesn't matter that Reuben did it. It's a very unsatisfying ending, which is like, you could argue is a little more complex than something that was just like on the nose. Oh, it's that other person that's a bad guy and let's go arrest him. And you know what I mean? Because they say Reuben's dead, Tom's dead. So like, it's not like they're, anybody's getting any justice here.
Aunt
but
Claire
it was
has so much character development in like 3 seconds, though. Like
she does. She goes from like tight-lipped, pretended none of this happened, to like all of my guilt is raised. This is off my shoulders now. I also do want to say that like the note that the grandma left while being murdered is pretty funny.
It's a great. It almost.
The note read, "Oh God, please don't, wake up, Paul."
Yeah. Please don't wake up Paul, who was like sleeping in a closet or whatever, and that's Amy's father. But yeah, it should have been. It was so close to being one of those notes of. Just like, oh my God, he's stabbing me. Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm bleeding.
Yeah, because even at the end she goes, and then the rest is illegible, and it's like, was that when the stabbing happened? Like,
Yeah.
what happened? The bludgeoning was taking place. I just imagine her being bludgeoned with like a a handyman implement, and she's still like trying to scribble the note. But yes, like you said, Ian, Aunt Claire immediately gets this whole relief of knowing that, her degen boyfriend wasn't the one who killed her grandparents. So she's been living with this guilt forever, and she gets this guilt lifted off of her. And, now she can kind of, I don't know, sleep well knowing that. Also, I guess like the house or the spirits in the house that are controlling the dollhouse and the dolls are now at peace in some capacity. And then Amy, well, Aunt Claire's like, well, let me wrap up everybody else's problems now too. I know a thing or two about guilt on account of that thing that happened to me just now. So Amy, I know you're feeling guilty about, the way you feel about not wanting to, take care of your sister. But then also that's okay. And you got to let your sister spread her wings and fly on her own. And then Aunt Claire's like, Luann, you want the haunted dollhouse? And Luann's like, yay! And she wants it now for some reason. And then the parents, for a brief second, are like, no, Luann, you can't have the dollhouse. You're going to fuck it up or something. The parents are bastards.
You're a crazy asylum maniac. You should be locked up. You're going to smash that dollhouse. Like, you're
just going to sit on that dollhouse and break it, Luann, you bitch. And then Amy and her mom's like, Amy and Aunt Claire are like, let her have the dollhouse. They're like, all right.
Again, it's actually not the father. It's all the mom. The mom is absolutely a menace in this entire. And it's hard to blame.
She's barely in it, but everything she's in it, she sucks.
Yeah, it's hard to blame this on like a patriarchal view of isn't the mom a bitch? Isn't this dumb working mom a fucking bitch type stuff? Because it's based on a book written by a woman, and the movie's directed by a woman. So I don't know. They kind of have all the leeway in the world to not write this character like this. And that they still do. Like, she is an awful person.
Yeah. And the only other men in the movie are, I don't know, murderers or murder suspects, I guess.
Yeah, they are murder.
So yeah, it is almost exclusively, or murder victims in the grandpa, but he really isn't a character.
No, but he's still a murder victim, and then the father is absent. So it's like there just aren't men in this film, really. Like, it's just
no, not really.
It's just they exist as a thing, but they are not.
And Steve, why do you hate that? Why do you hate that so much?
No, I just hate that the movie's boring. I'm far more invested in Luann's growth.
Let's go on record as saying Steve hates all female casts. He hated the Ghostbusters remake. He hates all female casts.
I think we need to coin the term the Hack Edson test, which is the opposite of the Bechdel test.
This is not passing.
Yeah, if your film has a shitty mom, then that's just like the entirety of like it doesn't pass the Hack Edson test.
Oh, that's actually a great topic we could add to the wheel. Shitty moms.
Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah. There's a lot of good shitty mom movies out there, and shitty dads for that matter. But shitty moms are usually bigger character. Shitty dads are like just like passing like trauma,
Yeah.
Shitty moms are usually more developed characters.
Speaking of shitty moms, so this movie is like dull and boring, and I don't recommend it to anybody. But somebody else that is in our age cohort that may have also seen this, and I'm going to say that this directly influenced his most popular film. Ari Aster's in our age group.
Yep.
So he probably saw this, and that's where he came up with the idea for Hereditary. And that's
I maintain that this is the precursor for Hereditary. This is required watching for all horror fans. For that
he had a special screening with Toni Collette and just like made her watch this and just like, look how this woman hates her children. And look how her work is more important, and she burdens. Because I mean, you're right, Ian. It's very similar because
it's got the dollhouse, it's got the shitty family. Yeah, they're
it has
passing
the
down
special
trauma through generations.
It has a special
The
needs
grandma's
child.
the spooky ghost. Oh yeah,
yeah,
all of it.
Yeah,
Spooky grandma.
This is just
Ari
Hereditary.
Aster stole this movie.
Yep.
We just blew it open. Hereditary is completely ripped off of the Dollhouse murders.
Yep.
That's a good point. We should probably do a social media video claiming that we have proof and go viral with it. Yeah, I mean it's ultimately this like coming of age story. You feel for. I will say yes. Is it boring? Most of the time, yes. As a kid who was watching their, one of the first like quote unquote scary movies they ever saw, you would imagine the build up to that climactic scene with the dollhouse was like excruciating because you're watching all this stuff the whole way through. And also the parts of like the parents not believing the kids was scary to me when I was a kid. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, as an adult, you got to really put yourself in the headspace of a little kid watching this. But it's a coming of age story. You feel for the characters. You feel bad for Amy because of the guilt and isolation and unwanted responsibility. You feel bad for Luann because, she's kind of feeling very lost and scared and obviously very dependent on her sister, and also just like confused, which Amy is too, about the whole dolls crying. You know what I mean? And then for Aunt Claire, because, this tragedy she's lived with for 30 years. So you do like you feel for the characters regardless of, whether you think it's great performances or not. You feel for the characters. There's an emotional weight to it, I think. And really that big culminating scene with the dolls and the stomping on the stairs and all that, I remember just fucked my life up as a kid. And yeah, the ending is, like I said, the parents show up. Luann, here you get the dollhouse. Yay, dollhouse. Movie over. So it does end quite abruptly.
Yeah. I think at this point for me in my life, like I wouldn't have liked this. And it wouldn't have bothered me or traumatized me because I think my big trauma point at this point as a kid was simply just the one jump scare in the Ghostbusters movie where the terror dog jumps through the door at the party. I always remember that scene being so sudden that it always upset me, and I always like would either close my eyes or leave the room and pretend like I wasn't scared, and then let that happen and then come back and watch the rest of the movie. But like that movie is full of crazy shit, obviously. So yeah, I think if you made me like sit and watch like this, boring movie, I would have gotten just like not bothered by it. I would have been like, oh, thank God the puppet's moving and something's happening. But at the same time, it's also like, oh, that's like the Indian in the cupboard, man. It's no big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think jump scares were the first things that kind of scared me. Like I said, I remember like monsters, right, scaring me. Mm-hmm. The transformation in Thriller, scaring me, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I also had mean dogs as a kid, so I think there was a comparison of like not wanting big mean dogs jumping on me because I did have it in my real life. So
I think for me it was like oh no, your whole family's gonna get murdered.
Sure.
I think that's kind of the thing that kind of stuck with me a little bit. And also, supernatural doll. The grandma doll is really the thing that stuck in my head, and like I would just like lay in bed and think about. So that's it. That is my if you would just say childhood trauma movies, this was immediately the first one that came to mind for me. Mm-hmm. Anybody who, in my immediate family that like knows me well, like I said, my aunt went out of her way to find this movie just because the joke was this movie's not scary, but it scared the living shit out of you guys when you were little because I showed it to you when you were 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot of sentimentality. I understand how there could be a part that was scary, but like, yeah, being that this is my first exposure at 40 plus, I was just like, this is fucking boring. But you know, I did feel for Luann. I felt for the Luann character, and I was so happy that she got the growth that she did. Like, it could have been, they could have continued to just put her down and treat her badly, but I don't know. Thank God for the neighbor lady, Mrs. Peck, and Aunt Claire actually giving a shit about her.
Yeah.
Because nobody else did.
I think there is something to be said for the reach that this has, because just looking on IMDb, there are quite a few people that are like, "Oh my god, I saw this in junior high. This was terrifying," or whatever. So, like, I think that reach does lend to the amount of childhood trauma that it created. But yeah, I think I would have just been bored of this. Like, I had already seen the It TV miniseries and was absolutely terrified of Pennywise. If you weren't resin to Pennywise's level, like, I was watching Aliens because it was an action movie by the time I was like 6. So I don't think this would have done it for me. But there is obviously a community out there that has had this similar experience with you, Brian.
There's an obvious delineation that is generational for us because, like Ian said, like, there's a lot of people on IMDb that connect with the Dollhouse murders, but on Letterboxd, not so much. It's like 300 people have seen this movie. Like, it's fucking nothing. So that
and it's because these were only people who were who were between the ages of like 6 and 12,
right?
In 1992 to 1995.
Yeah.
Honestly, I remember watching like Predator and stuff like that around this age and not being scared by it.
Yeah,
because I feel like it didn't feel real to me.
Oh yeah.
I liked them. I thought they were exciting. And like, I mean, even watching like Jurassic Park and stuff like that, like, I know we're talking, what year was Jurassic Park?
93.
91.
Yeah, I was gonna say right around that time. It was, and like not being as scared by it because it felt more exhilarating and exciting. And this movie just, for whatever reason, felt very dark to me as a kid.
Yeah. Like, I definitely saw Predator, like, very young too, probably 10, 11, 12, and like that, that's perfectly fine because, like, you feel safe. It's Arnold, so you feel safe with Arnold, and everything is just explosions and guns. Like, that was an early R-rated movie I was allowed to watch because there's no boobs in it. It's just big He-Man out in the jungle shooting guns. So that's an early one you can watch. But yeah.
All right. Well, I will go find respite with them because you guys don't appreciate my story. All right. Fuck you guys. All right. Steve, why don't you also tell them boils and ghouls at home what we got going on over at the Patreon, because we got fun stuff happening over there pretty damn regularly as well.
Yes. You can just follow us anywhere. Just search Halloween is Forever. We pop up everywhere, but we especially pop up on patreon.com/Halloween is Forever. And if you log on there for $5, you get all kinds of goodnesses. And one of those goodnesses is you get to sit in on live recordings of the shows. You can see Brian with his half shirt. You can see everybody's beers and drinks. You can see my gloop glop. And then
I'll show you a little nip if you want.
He'll pop a nip out for you.
I'll pop a nip. I'll pop a nip. I'll pop a foot.
You get reviews and recos. You get all kinds of extra stuff on the actual Patreon. And on top of all that, you get a monthly exclusive podcast. And this month, we are working on our 7th episode of God Is Not Forever, where we explore cinema and try to figure out ways to kill God.
Yeah, we're cinenauts. We are on a cinematic a voyage to try to figure out what we can do to commit deicide. Honestly, we want to build the skills and learn the lessons necessary to ultimately commit deicide. I've been trying to kill God for several years now. It's been my New Year's resolution every year. I've been unsuccessful up to this point, but I'm feeling real good about where we are this year. I was in a church today. I did not burst into flames, but I was damn close. I could smell sulfur the entire time I was in there. And what that tells me is he's getting a little nervous. You can also listen to our entire backlog of all our other Patreon exclusive podcast series. Steve made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies, which is fucking unbearable, but it's really fun to hear us talk about them and make fun of them. We also listened to watched a bunch of really fucking terrible, for the most part, 90s kind of forgotten comedy movies that have horror ties to them. We also did a bunch of really dog shit, like right-wing Christian propaganda horror movies about like how you shouldn't jack off and you shouldn't be gay or whatever. Like a bunch of real dog shit stuff out there.
Don't get abortions.
yeah, don't have abortions. Don't be gay. All that stuff. And it's fun to make fun of those pieces of shit as well. So patreon.com/Halloween is forever. Give us your sticky, stinky, sweaty money, only $5 a month, and it'll get you all that stuff. And you can join us here live on the Discord as we record and see my nip slips and all that sort of stuff. If I haven't said it 10 times already, go check out the Halloween Horror Hour. Go Tubi, search it, or on YouTube. It's so much fun. And if you have anything remotely close to our taste in media, you're going to have a really, really fun time. And keep a lookout in the fall. If you're listening to this near the fall of 2026 for season 4, is going to be out there as well. So thank you once again, my friend. It was super fun.
Always
we
blast,
appreciate
guys.
you.
Yep. Thanks for coming on.
For the Halloween's Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Hallow Ian.
All right. See you later. Bye.
Yeah, bye.